Welcome to yet another fabulous Linux Zoo crew, and today on the Zoo we are going to be talking about bogus software patents. But before we begin, I would like to share with you a few words from our founder, Voltam.
Hi, I'm Voltam, founder of the Linux Distro community. The Linux Distro community is a place for people to hang out and discuss Linux distros, software, and open source. The Linux Distro community is a community funded by its members for its members. We are a friendly, welcoming community that encourages people who use Linux operating systems and software to share their passion and knowledge with other people. We believe that when people share information freely, everyone benefits. We'd love to see you become a part of the Linux Distro community. You can voice chat with us on Mumble or text chat with us in IRC. Head over to linuxdistrocommunity.com for details. Join in today in the sharing of knowledge and the freedom that a Linux operating system gives people. Thank you.
Thank you, Voltam. And before we start on today's topic, I wanted to share a message with you guys. We've got a new show host on YouTube who has some tutorials up for Ubuntu. And so any of you guys that are running Ubuntu and you want some really good tutorials and that sort of thing, you should check out Linux Reviews for You. That is Linux Reviews number 4U. There's a link to his show on my channel if you guys want to check him out. He's got like 22 videos up and 21 subscribers at this time, so definitely check him out. He could definitely use your support. Okay, and at this time, I'd like to pass the microphone over to Lectro, who will introduce all of our guests on the panel.
Hello, right. We have C. Smith, Crunchy Linux, myself, and Spatry.
The thing that's been bugging me lately, and Total OS Today as well, we've been talking about this on the Sunday Night News and Nonsense for weeks now, that there are companies out there that are really trying hard to push these bogus software patents, and namely, lately, it is Microsoft, Apple, Oracle, and other companies trying to make Android smartphones more expensive to consumers by running a hostile, organized campaign against it by using bogus patents acquired from the bankrupt Canadian company Nortel and their existing patent holdings. Now, as everybody is aware, since Android has hit the mobile markets, they have really been soaring. And of course, this is powered by the Linux kernel. And the Linux kernel is being used because it has a long track record of stability. And I can tell you from using cell phones for many years that I've had Windows mobile devices, and now I've got my Android device. And I'll tell you what, my Windows mobile devices used to crash all the time. I had to pull the batteries out of them constantly. And my Android device that I have here, and I'm actually using it as an alarm clock as well. Do you know I have not shut this thing off in months now? It is still running. It has never crashed. It has never given me any trouble, and I think this is a wonderful thing. And these companies are seeing this innovation, and they're trying to put the kibosh on it. How do you see it, C. Smith?
As I was saying on IRC, the track record is something Windows even can't say. Well, actually, especially Windows can't say they have a track record of. And this organized campaign, I can say, cannot end well for Android. There is no way out of it, and it will hit Linux. Though that is if there are PCs that hit the market and are bumping the other products out of the way. But Android, as much as I like it, all I can see is it falling due to this one issue right here.
How do you see it, Crunchy?
I think it's stupid, because, why go after a company that's doing something better and try to take them down when you could try to one-up them and make an even better device that's better than the device that's currently more awesome, you know?
You hit the nail right on the head with that one, Crunchy. That is a fact. Rather than just going out and attacking these companies, why not just make a better product that people will want? But the thing is, instead, they resort to using these patents to cause the other company to either crumble, fall down, or just to hamper the innovations out there. How do you see it, Lectro?
Well, I can understand if it were like hardware issues, because it'd be like, whoa, you've took my design idea. But software, I don't know, it's like software's designed in code, isn't it? Everyone has their own input. I can understand developers putting all the time and effort into it and saying, look, we are paying all our developers for this time and you're copying our ideas. But I think what'll happen with Android is they'll end up trying to do like some counter patents and stuff, and it's just going to cost money at the end of the day, and it's just taking away the profits that they're making. And I think it's mainly, like you say, it's Microsoft and it's Apple as well. They don't like it when people sort of copy their ideas or make something similar, like the Galaxy Tab and all the rest of it.
Now, interestingly enough, I had a conversation with Ping Guy earlier, before we started the show today, and he made a very valid point, okay? Yes, Android devices are powered by the Linux kernel. However, the applications that are running on top of that kernel are independently developed and not necessarily free and open source software, okay? And so maybe the companies that are out there are going and attacking because of these different innovations that the software itself, these Java-based applications, are using. Now, the thing, though, that gets me is, okay, let's say this is the case and this is what the companies are going after to hamper those innovations. Let's say Ubuntu hits the store shelves this week, okay, and let's say people really like how Ubuntu looks, okay, and it starts selling at mythic proportions. And by mythic proportions, I mean people look at the new Windows 8 tablet, and they look at the new Ubuntu PC, and then they look at the new Mac. Side by side on the store shelves, and people look at the Ubuntu and say, wow, this looks cool. I really like this. Okay, and so people start buying it, and number one, they're going to buy it because it's cheaper, because there isn't a price overhead for the operating system itself, whereas you have Apple, which is using a variant of BSD, and we'll get into that later, C. Smith, that we were talking about earlier. But and then, of course, you have Microsoft Windows with its proprietary software, and then you have the free and open Ubuntu. What is to stop these companies from coming down on Linux as a whole if the Ubuntu PC were to just skyrocket? And I mean skyrocket to a point where Microsoft and Apple are now losing sales. How do you see it, C. Smith?
I'm just gonna start off with a joke. Captain America is here to stop them. Nah, kidding. Anyway, yeah. There really is nothing to stop them from stopping that, from trying that, and that is what I was getting at earlier. And if that happens, I am definitely, suffice it to say, pretty darn mad, and a bit saddened at the state of the world right now after that.
Crunchy.
I think that there is absolutely nothing stopping them from taking down Linux, but the reason they have not is because Linux is used so much in those companies, and it's hard. It's everywhere. Linux is everywhere. It's an embedded hardware. I bet tons of websites run their servers or run Linux on their servers. And it's everywhere, and if they took down Linux, then, you know, what are they going to use to develop their software?
Electro.
Yeah, thing is though, if it's affecting Ubuntu PCs, it's going to be canonical that they're going to go down on. Because, I mean, fair enough, you've got the Ubuntu server, but they're just going to persuade people to go with a Red Hat server or something similar. Canonical and that don't have the financial backing to support themselves if they get sued against them against patents and stuff. So they'll end up backing down to people like Apple who have millions and billions of pounds to sue them. And yeah, fair enough, it might affect their sales, but at the end of the day, there's still going to be a free and open source operating system for anyone who runs a computer that's capable of running with it.
Now, Pin Guy made a valid point earlier, because I discussed this with him, and actually I tended to get a little bit loud, and I do apologize. I don't like to offend anybody or whatnot, but Pin Guy was stating that the possibility of them really attacking Linux really isn't feasible. Namely, because all of the software that Linux is using is open source software. And anybody can look at the source code. But what is to stop somebody? Let's say I decide to create a new application today, okay? I decide to make a new screencaster, okay? It's going to use FFmpeg as a backend, which FFmpeg is open source. I use my own code and that sort of thing, and I come up with a product that does a wonderful job with doing full captures, high definition capture and everything, and no frame drops, perfect audio quality, which, really none of them do that, especially on the kind of hardware that I'm using. But let's just say I were to create a screencaster that does this. What is to stop another company out there from taking that idea, that code that I generated, and putting a patent on it? Now, if I understand that if I release it under the GNU General Public License, there's some protection there. So that's something to think about. Now, C. Smith, you had something you wanted to add to this.
Read the rest of the comments, Spatry. That comment would take too long and it would drag on, because it's a series of comments.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, but the scope of patents goes even further than just it goes even further than just software. I mean, there are patents on some pretty ridiculous things here. These are things that you do every day on the internet. Every year, numerous legitimate patent applications make their way through the United States patent examination process without adequate review. The problem is particularly acute in the software and internet fields, where the history of prior inventions, often called prior art, is widely distributed and poorly documented. And as a result, we have seen patents asserted on such simple technologies as one-click online shopping, online shopping carts, the hyperlink. Yeah, that little link you click to get from one page to another. There's a patent on that. How ridiculous is that, people? Video streaming, international domain names, pop-up windows, targeted banner ads. Well, hey, Google does that all the time, and so does Yahoo and all the other search engines, hey? Paying with a credit card online. You mean to tell me that if I decide to start selling t-shirts on my website with the Cup of Linux logo, Amazon.com or whoever owns that patent could take me to the cleaners, for crying out loud? Framed browsing. Yeah, frames in a web page. How ridiculous is that? And affiliate linking. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous, some of these patents that are going out there. And how do you see it, C. Smith?
I see it as complete nonsense and ridiculous. I mean, all of those patents you mentioned, Spatry, should not have even been awarded. And if the judges or whoever gave them out had any lick of common sense, they would not have given them. It's as simple as that.
Crunchy Linux.
Yeah, I mean, why would you copyright something that would obviously be used, common sense that would obviously be used everywhere? Why do that? And it's so obscure and it's so minuscule that it shouldn't even have been copyrighted, or patented. You should have just released the code open source. It's simple as that. Should not have any troubles.
Electro.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem with the companies that are designing it. I think it's the end decision whether it gets patented or not. At the end of the day, they should do something like a survey or something or at least have a more involved people who decide whether it gets patented. I mean, say for instance you've got a phone and you want, say, like a slide to unlock. if you so much copy, even in the slightest, a bar at the bottom where you can slide across, then Apple will be straight on your case saying you copyrighted our slide to unlock on our handset and everything like that. And it's just like, well, what are people going to use for ideas? I mean, I can understand these people who try and make like an operating system or something look like, say, like Ubuntu, make it look like Apple. I can understand that. Or Windows, make Windows look like Apple. But when it comes to just fine details, they're not thinking through it properly.
Say, Electro, did you know that just on what you were just talking about, there was a judge in European courts that basically threw Apple's case out because they were talking about the finger slide gesture and that sort of thing. They had this patent on and whatnot. And the judge had a device before this patent was ever issued that had the slide to unlock feature. And he told them to basically, what they could do with that patent, pretty much. Do you know about that one?
No, but it's kind of typical of Apple not to check that what they're designing don't already exist. I mean, they don't practice what they preach. They go on saying you copied us, but they don't see if they've copied anyone before them.
It's one thing for software companies to borrow other people's ideas. I mean, that's normal. We see it all the time, okay? But where it becomes bad is where these companies take somebody else's idea, their innovation, slap a patent on it because they know there's no patent on it, and then start suing people for using that idea. That is downright ridiculous. I think it should be a crime to do this, and I think these big companies should have to pay the price for this.
Well, it's like maybe the reason they won't patent it in the first place is because the people who made it might have thought, well, there's no point going all petty about it patenting, or they might not have the finances to patent it because it might cost them a fair bit.
Something that goes even further than this, and this is related to patents, but it's not where technology is concerned in terms of handheld devices and electronics. But do you know the patent office actually issued a patent to a company that was, that had something in the corn kernels that they were growing, okay? And they have actually shut down farms because their trucks driving their corn past these roads that had these fields, that their competitor farmers were growing corn, and some of those seeds got into their crops, and they'd find their proprietary hybrid kernels mixed in with the other farmers' corn, and they would sue them for it. It is absolutely ridiculous, and that is something else, that shouldn't be patented, and that is plants of all things. I mean, that's really hurt people. Crunchy.
I just wanted to add on to that. What if a company patented on-screen keyboards? Then, practically every phone has an on-screen keyboard. So then, the company, if they get sued, they would have to take out the on-screen keyboard. And then if there's only a touchscreen, how are people going to text? How are people going to type? And I just think patents are stupid.
Well, the thing is, it could even go beyond this, okay? Eventually, we know how long the mouse and keyboard has been going on. I mean, it's been going on for years, and now we've got the touch screens, the finger swipes, and all this other stuff, okay? But maybe the touch screens aren't going to last as long. Maybe now we're going to have a device that you wear on your arm, okay, or some kind of device that can track your hand movements and that sort of thing. Are they going to be able to patent hand movements? Are they going to be able to patent wiggling your tongue to send an email or something like that? I mean, this is ridiculous stuff that they are actually trying. Just a finger gesture of all things. They're trying to put a company out of a business for a finger gesture. It's ridiculous. Electro.
I suppose that takes new meaning to giving these companies a middle finger. That'll be patented as well.
Exactly. Now, Mark Shuttleworth, and I agree with him in what he had to say. He had something to say to the effect that software patents are the enemy of innovation. I would have to agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, these patents are preventing other people from making new innovations. A lot of developers who are creating new software applications. And, with all these innovations, people are afraid to use new technologies and market a commercial product because they're afraid some other company is going to come down on them like stink on detritus to have them shut down. And as Ping Guy went on to say, he mentioned that Xerox made the mouse and desktop and Apple bought it. Okay, and if Xerox put a patent on it, then Apple probably owns that patent on it. And there's got to be some kind of money exchange back and forth between all these companies. But I mean, it's ridiculous because these companies want $15 per Android device for using these patents, okay? And obviously that's going to jack the price up, and if everybody is getting a $15 chunk on here, it could actually put a company in ruin. As a matter of fact, Total OS Today and I the other day were just talking about that Apple will settle out of court with Samsung for $2.5 billion. That is billion dollars. Now that kind of money would put a major corporation really in the hole. So it's terrible. Go ahead, Electro.
I'm gonna say it's like them trying to put a patent on how a door opens. You just can't.
And Crunchy went on to say that all patents need to be unpatented after 1965. I don't know about that. But what I really think needs to be done is that there needs to be severe patent reform. There need to be people in the offices that have issued these patents and say, hey, okay, we need perspicuous guidelines. What are you patenting? And we want this in strict detail. What is it you are patenting? And not have all these, vague things so that people are slipping in hyperlinks and mouse clicks and scroll bars and stupid things like that. And I really think that this is something they need to do, that we need to contact our congressmen. We need to contact our lawmakers and say, hey, we've had enough of this globbedygook, and we think that a commission needs to be appointed to actually sit down and sift through every one of these patents and start revoking them for patents that are just too vague, that don't draw a clear enough picture of what it is that is actually being patented. Not something that can be misconstrued as this or that, something that is clear and concise that anybody could easily understand. The patent system is clearly broken. The European governments aren't putting up with it at all. Every time the United States goes over to European companies and tries to stick their foot in the door, they're finding that they're getting the door slammed on their foot. So, and that's a good thing. Maybe we're starting to see some signs here, though, as a result of that. The European governments are saying, no way. And maybe, just maybe, we could be seeing the end of this, or maybe the beginning of the end. Who knows? How do you see it, C. Smith? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to add that they may, instead of amending the thing, they may end up just getting rid of the patent system. Who knows? Who really knows? But yeah, and all, it's just a broken system that needs to just be gotten rid of after a set amount of time. That's really the best route I can see.
What are your final thoughts, Crunchy Linux?
Thomas Alva Edison has over 1,000 patents. And personally, I think that's just ridiculous. I mean, he's a great inventor, but if you go back and look at his patents, then you could any company out there.
What are your final thoughts, Electro?
Well, as from Country Linux's comment, well, God help him if they had the internet and the iPhone back then when he was an inventor. I think patents are just more of like an advanced user's version of like copyright and trademark and end user license agreement. It's just companies' way of making themselves look big and stuff, and to be honest, sometimes it just gets a little bit too petty. It's costing companies too much money to take it all to court. It's wasting judges' time. It's the main thing in the news and technology when you'll see it's always about Sony's got patents against so-and-so. Android Galaxy tabs are banned in the US until this patent and all the rest of it, sort of thing. It's just never ending.
Exactly, and you're exactly right about that. They're wasting taxpayers' money. They're wasting monies in the courts. They are using these patents as ammunition to attack the competition. It is hampering innovation, and it is terrible for our society as a whole. And I really believe they need to put this to an end. I'd like to thank C. Smith, Crunchy Linux, LectroLinux, and I also like to thank you, Pin Guy, for our pre-show chat, and you definitely gave me a lot of food for thought as well. I'd like to thank all of you in the listening room who is listening as well. And I apologize that we had to do a short show today, but the thing is, it's a lot of hours that I'm working this weekend, and that sort of thing I originally wanted to cancel, but I'm glad that we did get to have this chat. And you can look forward to seeing me here again next weekend, same time, same channel. Thank you all of you once again, and thank you, Voltem and the Linux Distro community for having us.
Today's show was brought to you by the Linux Distro Community. Visit us today at linuxdistrocommunity.com and chat with us on Mumble or in IRC on the Freenode Network in the Linux Distro Community channel. The Linux Distro Community. Freedom through the sharing of knowledge.
All right, welcome to yet another fabulous Sunday night news and nonsense with myself and our special guest host, Pingcasts. Total OS Today told me he couldn't make it this evening, and so I decided it'd probably be a good idea to still have the show on Sunday night and that sort of thing, and so it's going to be a little bit different. Today there will be, no fishing with dynamite. There will be no talking about dinosaurs, flagellants, and feces. And there will be no Total OS Today.
Boo!
Oh well. Pingcast, glad to have you as a co-host on the show. Tell me, how are those finals going now that you have cut down your Minecraft game playing to only 120 hours a week?
Actually, no. The eldest zone Minecrafters Anonymous, we meet every day on Minecraft.
Is it a 12-step program? We admitted we were powerless over Minecraft, that our lives have become unmanageable?
Yeah, our lives have become unmanageable, and we decided it's hopeless, so we just play Minecraft the whole time.
Did you come to believe in a power greater than yourself that could help you get restored to sanity? Did you make a decision to turn your will and life over to the care of God as you understand him to get over Minecraft?
I do.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool, I suppose. All right. Well, welcome one and all to the Sunday night news and nonsense. And Nankora will be starting off tonight with our first news topic. Take it away.
Okay, today as our first news topic, we're going to be talking about the changes in Arch Linux.
Boo!
Boo! Basically, yeah, I've been on Arch Linux for 3 years. I've been quite a loyalist. I've got a video on my YouTube channel about it. And the changes have just come out of nowhere, and I feel like they've destroyed the heart of Arch Linux. Like, for example, removing the the Arch Linux installer framework, and using scripts was, in my opinion, a very bad idea, because Arch Linux was a do-it-yourself distro that even a newbie could pick up and just go with it. You could just learn. It was so easy. And now they've turned, and not that the installation now is easier or harder, is that they've removed what people loved about it, what attracted people in the first place. And they put changes on us constantly. They constantly change things out of nowhere, no pre-warning, no real information for us to know what was coming, and broke our systems. And it's like they don't care about their community anymore. Along with the retirement of one of their lead developers on their media installations.
Wow. Oscailt.
Where do I start on Arch Linux? Good God. I follow the RSS feed for the homepage, and basically every single article on that is a bad article. It's basically saying, okay, the new update causes XYZ problem, so here's this way to get around it. Or, actually don't update your system because you can't, because this package is broken. We pushed it to the mainstream because, well, we're idiots. Arch Linux, I tried it. Me no likey. Me no likey. Me go back to Gentoo.
All right, Pingcast, what's your take on that?
The Slackware developers seem to make very sane decisions. I don't see this kind of stuff happening with Slackware. They don't do... There's just very little to complain about because they don't do stupid stuff.
And here is the Wicked Witch of the West, Total OS today, to toast Spatry for using Arch.
We are live. It's the Total OS Today show. I am live. What you have just heard are all zombies. They will be removed immediately, and I will do the show by myself. Actually, see, I wasn't lying. Actually, Spatry, what happened? You mentioned Arch. I wasn't supposed to be on, or I didn't think I was going to be on, because my Russian limo driver, Sergey, often drop off. I'm not sure what happened, but he made a left turn somewhere, and we wound up in, like, on the farmlands of, Kansas. See, what happened was, Spatry, he was driving with his new Arch Linux tablet, and he lost his... And he lost his mind. Now, I tried to warn him, so thanks to you, Spatry. But you know what? You're fired. Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
But Arch Linux, I loved you so much. I was getting to a point where I was getting so used to you, and now you've ruined my life. This is worse than taking away my birthday. How could you? How could you? Oh!
One moment, Sergey, please, Sergey, look, you really don't have to call the KGB. It really wasn't Spatry's fault. Please, Sergey, please. Hello, guys, how are you?
Oh, we're hanging in there like a loose tooth, but let me tell you what, we got some news for you. Should Apple worry about Samsung's widening lead? Thus far, the race between Apple and Samsung for title of top global smartphone provider has been a neck-and-neck affair, with one company or the other occasionally receiving a boost from an analyst firm declaring that yes, Apple or Samsung was in the lead. It has happened again. This time, the report is from Juniper Research, and the word is not only that Samsung has taken the lead in the smartphone market in terms of unit shipments, but also that it is a sizable one. Now, funny, because we were talking about this last night in the Patent Wars show, and Apple is really trying to nail the heck out of Samsung. Total OS Today, what was that quote that they wanted to settle out of court for?
It was like in the billions of dollars, and I think it was like 2.1 or 3. It's some ridiculous number. Now, news items like this, these patent wars have really gotten out of hand, as we have talked about. So maybe we should just spoof the names of the companies. For example, Spatry, instead of Apple versus Samsung, let's try this: Crapple versus Sam Schlong.
Funny. Yeah, you wait till you hear the discussion we had last night. It was really interesting because, even though these are all attacks on Android, and pretty much, even though Android is on top of the Linux kernel, let's say Ubuntu were to hit the store shelves tomorrow, and interestingly enough, I have an article coming up about this, but let's say it were to take off to a point where it goes to mythic proportions. What is to stop Microsoft or any of these other companies from trying to take down Ubuntu or or Linux in general next? Definitely gives you food for thought. Patents need to stop. What news article have you got for us, Pingcasts?
Well, in other news, Chrome OS Linux 2.1.1145 is powered by Cinnamon 1.4.
Yay!
So it's powered by Linux kernel 3.4.2 and features the new Cinnamon desktop environment, a fork of GNOME 3.
All right, cool deal. So now we can expect to be seeing something new in the store shelves and that sort of thing. But guess what? Linux is being sold by Dell now. They're going to have 3 different computers that are going to be offered. And they have, I can't remember the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue right now, but they have a developer edition that they're going to be releasing. They're also going to be selling notebook computers with Ubuntu on them, and they're going to be selling computers with Red Hat Linux Enterprise installed on them instead of Windows 7. And Dell announced that it has two business class laptops, the Precision M4700 and the M6700 series. And this is new news. This just came out on July 25th. And so the Linux community is happy to hear about this. Now, Dell has offered Linux computers in the past, but it looks like it's gaining new momentum, and we're going to start seeing Linux on the store shelves. Way to go.
All I'll say is, where's my Gen 2?
In the grave with Arch.
Oh, as everyone knows, Gen 2 is as stable as anything.
If it's done compiling.
Oh, well, you know, as the one man told me, patience is a virtue.
You know, it's really funny that you mentioned that because I remember in my early days of experimenting with Linux, there was a Linux distribution that ran from a floppy disk. Remember those little 3.5 floppies? And I can remember I downloaded the images and put them on the floppy disk, and Lilo started to load everything up, and then there was this cute little message on the screen that says, "Please wait." And then 2 minutes later, another message popped up on the screen that said, "And wait, and wait, and wait." And I couldn't figure it out once it finally started to boot.
Patience is a virtue.
What you got, Total OS, today?
No, somebody had mentioned the word compile. Just food for thought. You realize that horses do a lot of compiling also.
Oh, you had to bring that up.
All right, let's see.
You. Damn you.
Hey, are we going back into the horse stable again, Total OS, today? How about the ATI drivers, huh?
Let's not go there.
So are we going to also have kernel talk then?
Oh, if we're talking about NVIDIA drivers, I'll introduce you to the Linux kernel 3.5, in which you do not need proprietary drivers at all. NVIDIA works like a charm.
Sweet. That is good news, actually, yes.
Yeah, that is, especially after, I guess Mr. Travol's giving the love finger really, sent them a message, huh?
I heard they're gonna make a movie out of that. It's like a James Bond movie. Love finger, he's the mad. Never mind.
Don't quit your day job.
Let's see, what do I have? Oh, yes. Folks, maybe we should set up a donation basket for Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg. Apparently, his net worth fell by $72 billion this past week.
Oh.
Yeah, something with the Wall Street IPO shenanigans. I'm not really sure what happened, but apparently, as it turns out now, he's going to have to drive maybe six Ferraris versus 7 Ferraris. But I think he'll survive.
Maybe he spent it all on that technology to blur people's faces on all these. Remember that news article where I was talking about, all these protesters and everything that have videos up on Facebook and that sort of thing. Now they have a face. I can't even talk tonight. They have a face blurring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe he did, or maybe the KGB got wind of it, and now he has to pay his lawyers by $72 billion.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be fine. He can still swim in a swimming pool full of cash.
One thing I like to say about my flip. I can't talk either, Spatry. It's catching on to me. One thing I'll say about Mark Zuckerberg is that he doesn't seem to be the guy that cares about money. As I recall, a long time ago, he coded a very useful piece of software that worked with music, and if you listen to music, it sort of gathered information about what you listened to and then generated music that you would listen to. And Microsoft offered him a lot of money for it, and Mark Zuckerberg said no. He put up the source code for it for free. So if we're talking about money and Mark Zuckerberg, I actually think Mark Zuckerberg's a good guy.
Do you know who was against software patents and big corporations before he got rich? Bill Gates.
Lies. He always had articles and that sort of thing. Before Microsoft even really took off, he had articles stating that software makers and developers need to be paid.
Well, paid, but I think he was afraid of some corporation getting very big, very powerful, very monopolistic, getting loads of patents and being able to stifle the industry. I mean, he believed in getting monetary reward for it, but getting monopolistic was another thing. He didn't like that until he got a monopoly.
Come on. Bill Gates, as PDQ has said in IRC, threatened computer groups. He threatened the, what were they called? It was the group that Steve Wozniak and those guys were in. He threatened that group with software patents and everything. He was a douchebag. He always was and always shall be. He never supported open source or believed in all patents being, open. He never believed that. You can say that, but it's not
I never said he supported open source. I never said he supported open source. There's you can agree with me today, the patent system is broken. It's a whole new, thing since when it was first ruled that you can have software patents. It's gone to a whole new level with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and even since then, copyright laws have gotten stronger.
All right, kids, fight nicely, or I'm going to have to put sand in your Vaseline. Okay. I knew I'd figure out a way to get that in there. Android is facing renewed criticism for its app distribution policies, which developers are calling, quote, designed for piracy. Is this something that Google could have avoided a long time ago? The hubbub is grounded in a story that hit the wires earlier this week about game publisher Madfinger Games having to drop the price of the game Dead Trigger from 99 cents to free due to what they called unbelievably high piracy rates on Android. On the same day, Scottish app developer Matt Gemmell chimed in with a very thorough examination of why piracy is such a problem on the Android platform. Gemmell's main point, Android's very openness enables far more piracy than there exists on the Apple iOS platform. And if you did not already know, the Google's Android now has it implemented in the Jelly Bean that when you install an application now, it uses code that it is device specific. So you wouldn't be able to, share a copy of that software on or use it on another device. You can only use it on one specific device. But they're basically saying in this article, yeah, that's fine and dandy for the people that are using Jelly Bean, but what about the billions of other devices out there that will never get updated to the Jelly Bean, and people can easily swap and use pirated Android software. Now, this can have a lot of implications and that sort of thing. Using pirated software is wrong, folks. If you didn't pay for it, it's the same thing as stealing.
Windows 7 Pirate Edition.
Yeah, really. But, that's malware anywhere, so.
Oh, RMS thinks, he said he regards Windows as malware. So it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah,
like Arch Linux isn't malware?
It is now.
Well, duh.
Funny. All right, you got anything else, Total OS, today?
One moment. I'm on the conference call here with the KGB. Something about Arch Linux. Spatry, you may want to bolt your doors like within the next 24 hours, as if that makes any difference. No, I'm just kidding. But well, speaking of Android tablets, boy, there's a nice transition. KGB rumored to produce the most expensive Android tablet on the market. It will have a quad-core Snapdragon processor, run Ice Cream Sandwich, and it will cost US dollars $1,300. Now the question is there room on the Android market for a tablet that costs 1,300 simoleons? What do you guys think?
No. Isn't the Windows tablet supposed to be priced at that or even higher, supposedly $2,000 or $3,000 for them?
There was a report, it wasn't in the States, from Sweden or Switzerland, I can't remember, but it's possible that it may go as high as $2,000, and that's just, if it's true. I'm not sure if it is, but if that's true, that's just not going to fly. Sorry, Microsoft, I love Windows 7. Windows 8 looks terrific on the tablet, usable on a desktop, but if it's really going to be $2,000 for a brand new, untested, unproven operating system for a portable tablet, I don't think that train is going to go very far in those tracks.
Yep, it's going to go over like a lead balloon at a 5-year-old's birthday party.
Ooh, 2,000 grand for a tablet? Ooh, I recently spent £2,000. Yeah, I recently spent £2,000 on a solid-state drive. But not even I would spend that on a stupid tablet. That's just insane.
I don't really touch tablets. Oh, I can't stand the keyboard on them. They're just horrendous.
I could build a computer for half that, and it would beat the tablet hands down.
Well, look, I mean, people like their portability. We live in a portable society. It is convenient to have a portable form of communication. And by the way, Spatry and whoever's listening tonight, next week's Toss Today, that's the topic of the show, will be Portable Planet, talking about the past, present, and the future of portable communications. Now, that being said, I don't think an expensive Android tablet is going to fly, because people, at least some consumers, have been accustomed to a tablet, if it's running Android, to be more, shall I say, consumer affordable versus, say, the Apple iPad.
Also a disposable planet. I mean, you buy this technology nowadays so cheap. I mean, they're priced to literally last only for a certain period of time, and then you just toss it and buy a new one.
That is the nature of technology nowadays. I'm not sure if that's all bad, I mean, except for the fact of the landfills being filled up with all this junk. So please recycle when you can. I do, or at least I try to. But yeah, look, in my opinion, if you buy a brand new desktop, laptop, tablet, if you keep it for more than 3 years, in my book, if it's 3 years old, it's probably obsolete, and maybe even that's too long, too late. But that's how I see it.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're lucky if you can even get the 3 years out of use out of some of the technology that you buy nowadays. It seems as though, that they are designed to fail after a year and a half or 2 years.
If you're going to buy a, no-name product, from an unknown Oriental country, stated Oriental country, chances are it's probably not going to last that long. But look, if you have an iPad, or a nicely built Android phone that's 2 or 3 years old, those are probably going to keep working. Yes, they're going to be outdated, but if it's built right from the beginning, and you haven't dumped it in your coffee or your dishwasher, chances are it's still going to run.
It's really funny that you mentioned that, because I've heard of people actually allowing their cell phones to take a little swim. And if you just take the battery out of it and let it dry out for a few days and reinsert the battery, a lot of times they actually come back to life for you.
Look, there's people, I've heard things of putting in like in a bag of rice, vacuum cleaner, not a vacuum cleaner, but like in a dry environment. But look, folks, here's the reality. Batteries, electricity, and water never were good friends. So the moment they meet and have a little fight and something gets short-circuited, I don't care what you do, that product, that phone, is never the same, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, you talked about putting it in a bag of rice. Cell phone chow mein does not taste very good.
You guys are doing it wrong. You have to put it in pure alcohol, and trust me, it works. Water, if you put it in pure water, if you put your phone right now in pure water and let it dry out, it would be fine. The fact is that water is impure, and it has impurities such as sodium and other chemicals, and that's what causes the problems. These little chemicals get attached to the circuitry. But if you clean it with pure alcohol, everything's good.
Good.
Well, you know what it is, Spatry, is that if there is pure water, and if you drop, say, an iPhone, the water gets soiled by closed source technology.
All right, Total West today. Now that I've had a chance to ruin your show, why don't you take us out?
Thank you all for listening. Sorry I came in a little late. I really didn't know until the last minute I was going to be here. Thank you, Spatry, for filling in. Thank you for all of the guests who showed up tonight on the Total West Today show. I'm usually here every weekend, every Sunday night, but I am taking some time off this week, and I was with family and my son's birthday and the whole family stuff. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Spatry, as always, for co-hosting every Sunday night. You know where everyone can join in here on the wonderful Linux distro community. And at this point, I would like to end the show as I always do. We will catch you sometime in the future. Ciao.
Ciao.